Okay, we will get started. I hope you can hear me well. If not, please feel free to write in the chat. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on the EIT Health Digital Innovation Program. My name is Carlijn. I am a health tech strategist here at Argentum Consultants. I'm originally from the Netherlands, therefore my name is very Dutch. Here at Argentum, I am the head of the Cluster 1 Health strategy within our team. And today I would like to welcome a special guest. We have a Q&A session later in this presentation with Haley Avery from EIT Health. Haley, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I don't seem to be able to turn my camera on, but it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Haley Avery. I work at EIT Health Belgium Netherlands office as the entrepreneurship lead and supporting startups and scale-ups in the region of the Benelux and Israel. And looking forward to this presentation and also receiving your questions afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Haley, for making time to be with us today. So what is the agenda of today? First, I will be going over the general application requirements, funding rate, and the scope of the EIT Health Digital Innovation Program. Then we will dive more into the technical details, such as the eligibility of the applicants and the proposed project, together with the budget details and evaluation criteria. And then third, the application process with timeline details. And to summarize, I will speak a little about our services for the ones who are new to Argentum today. And then we head to the most important part of today, the Q&A session with Haley from EIT Health. For the audience, feel free to send your questions in the chat during the webinar, and we will try to address these during the Q&A session. Okay, short introduction to the EIT Health Digital Innovation. What is EIT Health? The EIT stands for European Institute of Innovation and Technology. It's an independent body of the European Union, set up in 2008 to deliver innovation across Europe. The EIT seeks to power innovators and entrepreneurs across Europe to turn their best ideas into products, services, jobs, and growth. The EIT brings together leading businesses, education, research organizations to form dynamic cross-border partnerships. At the moment, there are 8 different arms at EIT, and we focus on the EIT Health for this specific program. The EIT Health community works like a private club that any entry into could be very valuable in terms of funding, investors, and networking-wise. And the Digital Innovation Program is a wonderful funding opportunity at EIT Health. The Digital Innovation Program selects the top digital health micro and small enterprises and links them with international entities to create a consortium that will improve healthcare systems by accelerating the uptake of digital health devices by healthcare professionals and patients, and expediting market launch of the innovation, while at the same time easing the reimbursement process. The applicants, they need to be a for-profit micro or small enterprise, and in the next slide we will speak about it a bit more. The digital health device needs to have an innovation maturity level, IML, of 7, which is the validation of solution, or 8, which is the approval and launch, at the beginning of the project with the aim to move to reimbursement and level 9, clinical use, by a maximum of 1 year following the end of the project. The submission model is as follows. There are 2 stages. The first stage, the micro or small enterprise applies alone, and the consortium is only expected at the full proposal stage. The first stage is for the 18th of September, and the second stage for the 19th of December this year. The project duration is 9 months. The project itself will start quite quickly after the approval of the application, of the proposal, and the project can last until the end of 2025. And the maximum grant that can be requested by the consortium is 350,000 euros, which is 70%. It has a funding rate of 70% among the whole activity's duration. So the other 30% is self-funding. And the scope of this program is on patient-centered digital medical devices and diagnostics. Digital medical devices are health technologies falling into the definition of medical devices intended to support one or more medical purposes, such as diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, prediction, prognosis, treatment of a disease, and more. Okay, in this slide, I will go more into the technical details about the eligibility, how a project should look like, the budget, and evaluation criteria. First of all, about eligibility, as we said, for-profit, micro, or small enterprises. What does it mean? Up to 50 employees and up to 10 million euros turnover. The enterprise should come from an EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country, and at least 2 paid FTEs. And the fourth dot is that at the full proposal, as we said, the full proposal is with a consortium that at least 1 EIT Health member should be there in the consortium, and participants in at least 2 eligible countries. So we have a consortium of 3 at least. How should the project look like? In terms of the required stage of development at the start of the project, we have IML 7 or 8 reaching 9, which means 7 is the validation of solution. It means that the solution is shown to be effective and its value to all stakeholders is validated. And number 8 means approval and launch, which is that the institutions and regulatory approval has been received and a sales launch takes place. We would reach, in the end of the project, IML 9, which is clinical use, which means that the solution is used successfully in day-to-day clinical practice. The actual project needs to be launched on the market 1 year after completing the program, as said in the previous slide. So the project needs to be introduced to the market by the end of 2026. So you have until the end of 2025 to perform the project, and to introduce to the market will be not later than the end of 2026. As I wrote here as well, the project should target 1 specific European market. In terms of the budget, per consortium as a whole, as I said, 350,000 euros. But important to note, for the micro or small enterprise, you need to request at least 150,000 euros. And in terms of the evaluation criteria, when we speak about the first stage, the pre-selection, will be based on 3 main criteria. The first one, activity, excellence, and strategic fit, which is 50%. The proposed work, including the underlying concepts and models, needs to be ambitious and goes beyond the state of the art. The second point is on impact and sustainability, 40%. And this focuses on the initial idea of the potential business model, which is to be refined during proposal preparation for the second stage submission with the consortium. And then another 10% for implementation and feasibility, as you understand, quality, effectiveness, capacity. We go to the next slide, application, process, and timeline details. As we said, 2-stage application. First, short independent application, and the deadline is mid-September. The pre-selection takes place on the 10th of October with an invitation to the online pitch. And then you have the chance to pitch your plan for reimbursement in front of a panel of experts, more close to the end of October. And pre-selected companies receive the personalized support, which means support to consolidate the consortium for the full proposal stage. And the full support program runs from 4th of November, which is close to after the pitch actually, to the 19th of December, which is the full proposal deadline. I see someone raised his hand. We will discuss your question. Please write it in the chat. We will discuss your question at the Q&A session. Thank you. The next step is a short due diligence process to assess the company's potential. And as I said, the full proposal submission with the consortium is on the 19th of December. The full proposal must incorporate the relevant feedback and learnings and recommendations and improvements that you gathered within the support of EIT Health during the program. And then the final selection on the 23rd of January 2025. The final selection has also the 3 main evaluation criteria, same as in the first stage, but a different balance. So we have the activity, excellence, and strategic fit, which is 20%. And we have impact and sustainability, 40%, implementation and feasibility, also 40%. And then number 8, get funded. Up to 3 consortia are expected to be funded in their way to reimbursement. Okay, as noted in the agenda, I will shortly address Argentum's services for the ones who do not know about us yet. As a consultancy agency, we look to and advance our clients to apply to different, mostly non-dilutive funding opportunities. And to do so, we work on a specific model and methodology, the multi-submission strategy, also MSS, multi-submission strategy, which is designed with a mind to benefit our clients in several interlocking ways to, for example, apply to a variety of funding opportunities and maximize our clients' participation to grant applications, to maximize their chances of success by multiplying the submissions, to position our clients within the EU R&I ecosystem, fund various levels of development, minimize investment of time, as you understand, seize immediate opportunities. And through our years of experience, we know that the timeline from application of a grant to receiving the funds can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And during this so-called waiting time, we would be able to apply to various other opportunities, thus expanding your chances of success. We developed the multi-submission approach several years ago, precisely because we found it best supported our clients in securing long-term funding and through our personal approach and in-depth knowledge. The Argentum consultants, they know how to break down the grant to maximize their funding potential. And it's just not copy-paste, as you understand. And as a result, our success rates are double than the rest. And this last quarter has seen us receive notice that our clients were awarded grants from the various other funding programs as well. Okay, let's go to the Q&A session with Haley. Thank you again, Haley, for joining us in this session. I'm going to open the chat and wait, 1 second.
Yes, thank you, Caroline. I still have trouble with the video, but I guess that's okay.
Yes.
There were already a couple of questions that I answered in the chat, but I think it's good to share them with everybody. So the first is about the IML and the innovation maturity levels and how is it decided. I shared a link also in relation to this, which is available on our website. And what you will see that also compared to, say, the TRL, that the innovation maturity levels take into consideration several factors as well. So it's looking at not only the technology, which is more related to the technology readiness level, but it's also looking at the clinical stages of the solution and how far you have reached with clinically validating the technology. In this respect, there's also the regulatory aspects, because in many cases, digital medical devices require regulatory approval. So there's also the readiness level regarding regulations.
Yeah.
And then the business model and the market access as well is also factored in. So it's actually a 4-component readiness level that is taken into consideration. And it's a self-assessment, so we do not per se say what your IML is. You would just look at this. There is a table in the link, and then you can assess for yourself which innovation maturity level you have reached.
Okay. And a question about that, like, how do you relate it to the EIT termination of the TRL scale?
I mean, they're very, very similar, especially for the technology. But the factor is, of course, that we are looking at clinical aspects. So when you talk about market launch for technology readiness level, say, which is TRL 9 typically, right? We are normally talking about first introduction into clinical environment. And actually, there's an IML level 10, which is really when the solution becomes the standard of care. So the IML, as I said, has the 4 components: technology, clinical, regulation, and market and business entry. And where the TRL is really just focusing on the technology readiness level.
Okay, very well, thank you. I have another question. As we know that the call is focused to facilitate the uptake of digital medical devices, and more specifically the patient-centered health devices.
Yes.
Could you provide us some examples of previous winning devices, also to emphasize this patient-centered focus?
Yes. So many of the solutions that we're looking at are the type of technologies that could be reimbursed by the fast-track reimbursement processes that are in several countries. So you may be familiar with the DiGA process in Germany. And this is, many of these solutions are really digital health apps where the patient themselves is actively involved in providing information regarding their disease journey. So it could be monitoring, it could be helping to diagnose, it could be helping to treat, as you also mentioned, Caroline. But the aspect that is important is that the patient must have an active role in using this device. It's not enough for, say, a clinician or a doctor to be using the device in the presence of a patient, but the patient should be able to actively participate in providing the information about their health status. So you see, you can look on the DiGA website and see the apps that have been approved already. Many of these are mental health related apps or apps to monitor disease progression, for example. And also in France, there are many solutions that have also been reimbursed for telemonitoring type support as well. So being able to monitor patients remotely is also one of the aspects.
Very interesting, thank you. And then you mentioned France. Is there a specific target of market that EIT Health prefers?
No, not especially. I mean, I think it needs to be clear from your proposal why you're targeting a certain market, and there are many reasons, of course, for entering into a certain market. We have, for this DigInnovation program, emphasized the fast-track processes that are present in Germany, France, and Belgium, because this is, of course, an interesting means to enter the market quickly, is what we like to see, of course, but it's not excluding other countries. So if, for example, you have an interest to enter into the Dutch market or Spanish market, this is also possible, as long as you can identify sort of a strategy for how you intend to enter into these markets.
Okay, that's all clear. Thank you. I have another question. As someone from the audience asks, if all applications need to be done in a consortium, can you share more information on how this consortium needs to be structured at the time of application?
Yes. So at the short proposal phase, so with the deadline of the 18th of September, it's sufficient to have just the startup applying at this stage. Of course, as you highlighted, Caroline, there are certain requirements for the startup. So there must be at least 2 FTEs, and they must fall within the definition of a small or micro enterprise. So at this first submission, the startup can submit the proposal just by themselves. And then for the full proposal, it is required to participate as part of a consortium. We, as EIT Health, can help you find partners. So we, of course, work with a network of partners across Europe from different parts of the healthcare sector. So, for example, if you're looking for a company or a hospital to help you with certain aspects of your project, we can help introduce you to these partners as well to join your consortium.
Perfect. Yeah, that also answers my question, like how the support of EIT Health takes place. And I understand you help them connect to EIT Health members. As in the second stage, we need to have one EIT Health member in the consortium. I see.
Yes.
Very well. And in the size of the consortium, as the minimum is 3, I understood. Do you see also large consortia, less relevant in terms of the budget? I assume so.
Exactly.
What is like the average number?
Yeah, I would say indeed 3 or 4 is probably quite common. To your point, exactly. If you have more partners, of course, with only 350,000 euros grant, that means that you're dividing it amongst more partners, so each would get a smaller budget, and that, of course, depends on the task that you're trying to do, whether that makes sense or not. Typically, I would say 3 or 4 partners is quite common.
Okay, very well. And could you explain us something about the general success rate at EIT Health regarding the first stage when someone applies independently, and the second stage, we understood 3 consortia will be funded. Can you say something about that? Like how many applications do you receive each year?
Yeah, it varies a bit. So it's difficult to say explicitly, but normally I would say we typically receive, say, 10 to 15 proposals from all over Europe for this particular program. And normally what we would like to do is, so as you said correctly, we will have 3 projects, up to 3 projects. It depends on the quality, of course. So it's not given that there will be 3, but if there are 3 high quality projects, they will be awarded. And normally we invite, say, 6 projects to prepare a full proposal. So then the second stage would, say, be about a 50% chance of being awarded. And the first stage depends on the number of applications, but I think it's typically, also 30 to 50% chance that you're successful.
Very well. That's quite a high success rate. Okay, thank you. I'm looking in the chat. And Ramon asks, are online medical services included in the potential candidates for the funds? Online medical services, okay, instead of a device, I think so.
Yes, I mean, I think if it's something that could be used, say, from a smartphone, then this would qualify for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I've also seen some applications where they even have websites that you would use like at home to provide your information. But I would say most of the applications are more smartphone related type applications.
I see. Okay. Sven is explaining that he has an AI solution that supports physicians in disease diagnosis, where we would like to receive reimbursement of the solution. Would that also fit under this program?
Yes, so I think the first part of the question here that supports physicians in disease diagnosis is the critical part here. If it's really just for physicians only, then I would say it doesn't fall within the scope of this particular program, because we are really looking for solutions where the patient is actively involved in using the digital medical device or the digital health app.
Yeah, okay, that's clear. Thank you. And 1 second, I'm checking. Someone, anonymous attendee asked, can you please elaborate more on the requirements in terms of participating companies? What is the minimum number? Okay, as we just said, around 3, 4. Would you like to add something on that, Haley, in terms of the consortium?
Yes, so normally also we ask that a number of our different regions within EIT Health are involved. So as I mentioned, I work for Benelux Israel region, which is not really all in one, but so it would mean that if you are coming from, say, Belgium, and you wanted to submit a proposal, it would not be enough to just involve partners from Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, for example. You would need to involve partners from another region of Europe. And we've divided Europe in different ways. So we have 8 regions. So as long as you've included, say, somebody from somewhere else, then your project is eligible. And as we already discussed, the minimum is 3 number of.
Even if the other 2 are associated countries to Horizon Europe, like if they are not in the EU located.
It's possible, but it's more it's more the issue of the fact that we always want to have an EU element to these projects. So if you're, say, coming from Belgium, then I would encourage you to think about involving someone from Germany or France or Spain or from Southern Europe as well. Just to give some of the EU context to the project.
Perfect. And someone else asked, we explained the TRL 7A, here it's called the IML, Innovation Maturity Level. 7A, the times of the application is necessary. Are there other programs for earlier stage concepts? Yes, there are. And I will explain in the next slide how to get in contact with us about that. And this webinar, we focus on the EIT Health Digital Innovation. I'm checking if we have more questions. Feel free to ask another question. We have a minute left.
I see that there's one also regarding is there a reward based on success fee or if there's any upfront payment? So yes, for these particular projects, as the startup is in the lead, what we ask is actually that in return for receiving the grant as a startup, we as EIT Health would take options in the company. And this is also why we do the due diligence stage to understand the status of your company in terms of financial viability and the like. And then we would also come to an agreement on how much EIT grant you would receive and what that would mean in terms of options that we would take in the company. And these options, for example, we don't have any specific rights or like if we would take equity. The only thing that we will do, of course, is that when you have a triggering event, so if you raise funds or are required or something like that, at least something where you are receiving funds, that we would then cash in our options in the company as our success fee, say, or return payment for funding the project.
Thank you. That's a very valuable question. Answers. to the question. Then someone asked, is there an option related or not to the grant? I do not understand.
Yes, so I think it's in relation to this the options that are taken in the company.
Thank you.
Yes, so it very much is linked to the funding that you would receive, which is also why there is a minimum of 150,000 euros, because of course if it's a smaller amount of funding, then it makes it more difficult for us to justify taking options in the company. So it's linked to the amount of grant that you are receiving in relation to the valuation of your company.
Yeah. In this balance of 150K for the small and micro enterprise, and then we have another 200K left. The EIT Health member that is inside the consortium usually receives, I guess, less than the other two partners. What is the part of the EIT Health members? There like specific minimum that he or she needs to request?
It's not explicitly stated how much they request. It's really related to the type of activities that they're expected to perform.
Very well.
For example, if you're involving a hospital from our network in the project, and they're supporting with the clinical validation of your solution, then the funding should reflect that type of activity.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I think we have answered so far the questions from the chat. Thank you, Haley, for this valuable session. And look at the time, we will be ending soon. We have come to an end of the webinar for today. If other questions are coming in, we will answer you by email. I hope that all the information we shared in this presentation together with the Q&A with Haley was useful and enlightening, and that it helped you gain inspiration for your next funding applications. Again, I would like to thank Haley for your representation of EIT Health today.
Thank you very much as well for having me.
Great. We appreciate your time and efforts in answering our questions on this program, which obviously prepares all of us to submit the strongest proposals as possible. And thank you all very much for attending. For the clients of mine that are here, I will be in touch with you to discuss the next steps. And for the companies that attended today and did not know about Argentum before, you can find on this slide the email address of our marketing director. Please feel free to reach out to Linet if you have any questions, and we will be able to schedule a call and learn more about your company's activity and go into more detail about how we could include this EIT Health Digital Innovation Program into your multi-submission strategy. Later today, our marketing team will also send you a follow-up email, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.